So I guess this is just how life is now. Sweats and makeup to film videos. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my April wrap up. So I'm gonna go through all the books I read in April. I read 1 5-star book, 3 4.5-star books, 2 4-star books, 2 3-star books, and 2 2-star books. I also DNF'd 2 books, but we'll get to that when we come to it. I all in all think that I had a great reading month. So to begin, I'll start with the DNFs. So I DNF'd Autobiography by Christina Lauren. I don't at all think that this is a bad book. I just was not in the right mindset. I was reading this on audio at work, and for the life of me, I just could not get into it. I don't know if it was because I was distracted at work, but I'm so sorry. I know so many people love this book, but I just couldn't get into it. I'll probably pick it up later. I did get to about 60% and then just decided to move on because it was putting me in a bit of a slump. I just wasn't really in the mood for it. So I DNF'd that one at 60%, I'm sorry. The other DNF was The Anti-Virginity Pact by Katie Weismer, I think it is. I tried so hard to love this book, and I hate, and for future reference, I don't think I'll let people know if I read like another YouTuber's book, because I just felt inclined to like it, and as much as it wasn't bad, I just could not get into it. I don't know if it was because it was, I don't know, is it YA? I don't want to say YA if it's not, but I don't know, I just couldn't get into it for the life of me. I just had to, oh my god, I don't know, I'm not going to say anything else about it. It wasn't for me. So working my way back up, the book that I gave 2 stars was Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. Now, as much as I loved the ending of this, the rest of the book was so boring. I have seen so many people give so many good reviews. I just could not figure out why. Like, I mean, the writing was really good, but I just felt completely bored the entire way through until I got to the last like 100 to 65 pages, and then it picked up and I was like, yeah, okay, the ending is great, but then again, it still wasn't the ending that would merit 5 stars, if you know what I mean. Like, it was just kind of like lackluster and just not the best thriller. I mean, I have just started thrillers, so I'm probably not the best person to say that it was not the best ending, but I've read a couple of others since then and I have loved them, and it just felt very boring. I don't know, it just wasn't for me. The ending was okay. It definitely was, like, there was a twist there that I kind of thought, but then I was like, when it did happen, it wasn't how I expected. So the twist did have me shocked, but I don't know, the rest of the book was kind of like blasé for me. Yeah, I gave that one a 2 stars. Okay, so the second book I gave 2 stars to was Praying for Rain, which is book 2. No, not Praying for Rain. Fighting for Rain, which is book 2 in the Praying for Rain trilogy. And honestly, like, I feel like it was just a filler book. Nothing happened. Like, the last line of Fighting for Rain was like, what? But other than that, honestly, I think she just walked around, you know, like nothing happened. Book 1, I fell in love with Wes. He's my book boyfriend. Book 2, I was like, where's Wes? And then, yeah, it just fell so flat, and I was so skeptical picking up book 3 because I was like, that just fell so flat for me. Like, I can't even comprehend to you how bad I thought book 2 was. Like, I think it's generous giving it 2 stars. I don't even remember what happened. They were in a shopping mall. Like, that's all I remember of that book. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave my thoughts for that there. I did read book 3, which is Dying for Rain, so I will let you know later how I went with that one. So now on to the 3 stars, which I read 2 of. So the first 3-star book for me is It Must Be a Very Unpopular Opinion. I think, to be honest, I just went into this book with way more hype than necessary, and I don't know if it was just like where I was at mentally or the fact that I'm not really into fantasy right now. But that book is House of Blood and Earth by Sarah J Maas, and it is huge, and I feel like not a lot happened. Like, the start, yes, the end, yes, but in the middle, was it like really necessary to be 800 pages? I didn't read the synopsis going into this, so when Danica died, I was shook. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be the best book ever. Like, whoa, that plot twist at page like 50. And then I realized it's on the synopsis because someone like said it and I was like, oh, you just like spoiled like the biggest bit. And it's on the synopsis. So I highly recommend, even though I just told you, is to like not read the synopsis. And I've been trying not to read synopsises going into books because like I thought that was like one of the best bits in the book because it was so shocking. I didn't know it was coming. And then like for it to be spoiled on the back, I feel like that's kind of lame. But yeah, so the middle was kind of boring, and then the end, like just so much happened all at once at the end. And I mean, it is a good book. 3 is just like okay for me, so it's not like it was terrible, but I just feel like it was hyped up for me and I went into it thinking it was like gonna be another like Throne of Glass, or I mean it was. The main characters are kind of like typical for Sarah J Maas, but I love the typical Sarah J Maas, so I was hoping to like jump into it. And I still feel like even though this is an adult book, it didn't really feel adult to me. Like, I don't know, was there like one sex scene and it wasn't even that explicit? Not that that's why I read books, but since I've been reading more romances, I was like waiting for like the adult themed romance and like plot twists and stuff like that, and I feel like it didn't happen. Like maybe just like the scenes were a bit more gruesome. But yeah, so I feel bad, but I gave this 3 stars and I think that's an honest opinion of it. So sad about that because I was so hyped for this book and I think that's where it fell flat for me. So I'm super sad, but it was still an okay book. There's nothing wrong with it. I just thought it might have been too long. So the second 3-star book for me was Coach by Alexa Riley. And are you right? It's all right. Come on, lay down. Don't make a noise. I'm filming. Yeah, so the 3rd-star book for me, the second 3rd-star book for me was Coach by Alexa Riley. And this is a short romance, so it's full of smart. And I didn't have any bad thoughts about it because I've been getting into, like I said, romances and like short smutty books, but I can't stand like pregnancies. I don't know why, I just have something against it, and it was so cringe throughout this whole book of it being like, I want you to have like my children and let's make babies, and like that was like the whole book was like him just like pumping her full of, you know, and it just, I don't know, it wasn't for me, I don't think. I did like it, it was fun, it was short, but even though the author said that this is like, don't take it too seriously, it's like a fun, like baby making, lots of sex kind of book, but I just, no. Okay, my 2 4-star books that I read was Theirs for the Night by Katie Robert. I actually really liked this book. I just found it super fun. So like the main character goes to this bar, because she doesn't go out much, but there she is out at the bar, and she meets these 2 guys, and little does she know that one's a prince and one's his bodyguard. The bodyguard's all like broody and dark, and the prince is all like charismatic and like, I don't know, it was so fun, and I definitely liked the way things played out. And I for sure want to pick up the second book. I forget what it's called, but I know that this was a short book, but the second book is like a full-length novel. So I'm pretty sure I've already got it downloaded, and I don't know if I'll be able to get to it in the next month or so, but if I'm definitely feeling slumpy, that is what I'm going to pick up because it was so fun and I definitely had a great time reading it. I don't know why I gave it 4. I think because I was just like, oh, it was fun, you know, like it's not worth a 4.5 or a 5, but it was just like a fun, happy 4. So yeah, I highly recommend that one if you're into something like fun and short, because yeah, it's a male-male female romance. Well, that's the first like male-male female romance that I've read, and I loved it. So 4 stars is a good recommendation for me, I think. And then the second 4-star book was Your Dad Will Do by Katie Robert again, and I loved this book. Like, thank the gods for making this book. Birthday Girl is my all-time favorite romance, and the fact that there's now a short smutty version with no plot just blows my mind. I have plans to read Birthday Girl again because it was, I will forever love that book. I know it vividly in my head, the whole story, and the fact that there's now like a short, smutty, fun, like there's just so many similarities, but it's just short and fun. So if you liked Birthday Girl, I would highly recommend reading Your Dad Will Do, because it was so fun, and I definitely was like, I enjoyed the whole time. I don't know why I gave it 4 stars. I think I give more like smutty stuff like 4 stars because I'm like, girl, how did you last that long, you know? Like, whew, kudos to her. But yeah, so I think I just bump a star off for the unrealisticness, but other than that, like, it is short, sweet, fun. I had a great time, so I highly recommend Your Dad Will Do. So now jumping on to my 4.5 stars, which I had 3 of. The first one being a thriller, which is While You Sleep by Stephanie Merritt. And guys, I haven't heard much about this book, and it is so good. I read this in like a couple of days. I even got one of the girls at work to read it with me because she was like, let's buddy read a book, and I was like, well, I'm reading this, buy it and read it along with me. And she did, and she even loved it. And she's not even a big reader. She does read just thrillers, but she loved it. It was so fantastically eerie. I would read this before bed and I would literally think someone was staring at me. I would wake up in the night and think, like, I couldn't even look at my window. I was like, I'd wake up and be like, don't look at the window, because it was like, I was like, is there a face in this staring at me? I loved it. Because of the ending is why I knocked off 0.5 stars. It's not, I mean, I think I did realize where it was going, and I had some inclinations, and I was talking to my friend and she thought the same thing as well, just a little bit differently. I don't know, just the way it wrapped up, I feel like, I mean, it was really good because it's open to interpretation, which I love, because when I was talking to my friend about it, she had a different opinion to me. And then when she was saying it, I was like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. But I saw this, and she's like, oh yeah, like, I don't know. I just love when it's open to interpretation. So I did love it. There was just like one little thing that I was a bit like, oof, you know, like just nothing major, just something that I was like, oh, I mean, that could have been done better. But all in all, this is such a good book. So this is basically about a girl that she gets away, wants to get away from her life at home, from her husband, from her child. And she goes to this remote Scottish town, rents this house that like is known in the town to be haunted, or like bad things happen in this house, and everyone's like questioning her about it, and she's like, no, I'm strong, I'm a female, like I'll be fine, I just need some alone time. And shit hits the fan. Like, it's so eerie, and there are some scenes in here that make you so shook that it's just so eerie. Like, I highly recommend this. Like, how many likes can I say? But please do yourself a favor and read this book. It's so good. So the next book I gave 4.5 stars to was Praying for Rain, which is the first book in the Praying for Rain trilogy. So this was so good. Like I said before in Fighting for Rain, Fighting for Rain. Yes, the second book is Fighting for Rain. And I mean, I picked a great time to read this book because I was reading it in the month of April. I must have been towards the end of April, because this book like the whole, it's a dystopian trilogy, and it's about the female main character Rain, who is in this like dystopian world, and there's all this commotion about the date April 23rd. So apparently this is when the world is going to end. And I was reading this in April, and I was like, what a time for me to read this. Like, I'm pretty sure I read it around April 23rd, and I was just like, this is sick. Like, is the world gonna end? No, I'm kidding. But it's just, I highly recommend it. I would just definitely read it because it's so good. And don't go into it thinking, well, if you don't like book 2, why would I read book 1? But read it, kind of like skim book 2 and then go to book 3, because I just finished book 3 and that is on point. So the final book I gave 4.5 stars to was Fly With Me by Chanel Cleaton. I love this book. Like, this is my favorite books of the year. I loved the romance, I loved the main character, and it just was so good. It's a fighter pilot romance, and there's 2 more books in this. I don't know if it's a trilogy, but they're like companion novels, and they follow like each of the fighter pilot friends. And oh my god, I loved this book so much. I loved the romance, I loved the banter, I loved everything about this book. It was so cute, and I flew through it. I read it in a day, and oh my god, just I loved it so much. I love Noah. He is the most, oh my god, handsome. Oh, him and Wes like are tied. Like, I'm gonna date both of them, you know, because I've got no shame, and they're both hot, and one's a fighter pilot and one's a biker guy with tattoos. So I mean, best of both worlds, right? But yeah, I loved this so much, and I highly recommend it if you want a fun, happy romance with fighter pilots and action, and it just brings out all the feelings. I would highly recommend this book. It was so good. And last but not least, my 5-star book of April was no other than November 9 by Colleen Hoover. I adored this book. It gave me so many feelings that I can't even comprehend to you how much I loved this book. Again, obviously, whenever I read books, and I don't know, if you're in different mental states, things just resonate more with you, and this definitely hit me at the right time. I loved the romance in this. I loved the plot twist at the end. It had me in tears. I just thoroughly, this was just the, oh my god, this was just the best book that I've read this year, I think. It's definitely become one of my top favorite books of all time, and I will reread this and reread this and reread this until it literally falls apart in my hands, because I loved it so much. This is the first Colleen Hoover book that actually has me wanting to read more of her backlist, because I don't know, this, even just looking at it brings back so many feelings of when I read it, and I could not recommend this more to anyone. I know it's questionable, the romance, because of what happens at the end, but honestly, I don't know, I loved it so much. That didn't even bother me really. It shocked me more than anything and made me so upset, but I just will literally, this is my baby. I want to buy like every copy. Is there a hard copy? I don't know. I want one, but I just will have this forever, and I will recommend this forever because it was so good. And I guess that's it for my March wrap up. I read 12 books, loved pretty much all of them. I just had a couple that fell short for me, and I guess some that I couldn't really get into, but other than that, I feel like I had a good reading month in April, and I hope to have an even better month in May, because I'm already feeling like ahead on my TBR. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you pick up some of these books because I loved them so much, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.